Welcome back, my friends. It is time once again to head back to the Nintendo Switch eShop, where I find you not 10 this month, but 15 fantastic eShop games that you should be checking out and adding to your digital library. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome to Square Pegs. Every month, I go into the Nintendo Switch eShop. I sift through the chaff. I find you games that I think are excellent. Usually I do 10. This month, doing 15 because I have a confession to make. I screwed up. Back in July, I was supposed to do an eShop video and I didn't do one. And I want to make up for that because I just feel this weird gap in the middle of the year. So this month you're getting 15, next month or the month after you'll be getting another 15. But here we are, 15 games on the Nintendo Switch eShop everyone should be checking out. And we're kicking things off with a game from my friends from Capcom. I've always been strangely fascinated by the Phoenix Wright and Miles Edgeworth series. Not games I'm typically drawn to. Visual novels aren't usually my thing, but the thing that I really like about those games is they add just a touch of clue onto things to make it a little bit more intriguing. And that holds true for Ace Attorney Investigations Collection here, collecting both Miles Edgeworth games, originally on the DS or the 3DS, I can't remember which, but they're updated with HD visuals, although you can hot swap between them. And it's the great gameplay you would expect from the Ace Attorney or the Phoenix Wright series. You are solving crimes, you are investigating murder scenes, you are looking for evidence, and you're presenting your case. It does sound very simple, but it's not a simple game. There's complex puzzles to solve, complex investigations to go through. And one of the best things about this is that, not only do you get 2 games in this, but one of them, Ace Attorney Investigations 2, is something we've never had released in the States before. This is an official translation for the first time, and just exciting that Capcom has released this. This goes for $39.99. You get 2 great games for the price of 1. It's a lot of fun, well worth checking out. I have professed my love for the Castlevania series for decades now. It is one of my absolute favorite video game franchises, and living in an age right now where we have gotten now our 3rd Castlevania collection released in this console generation just feels like a privilege. It feels like a treat. And this was not a collection I was expecting to get because this is all DS games. And that's always tricky to emulate to make sure you're providing a positive quality gameplay experience. And that happens here with the Castlevania Dominus collection. So here's the games you get right off the bat. So once again, multiple titles that you're going to be getting in your digital collection here. You get Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, where you play as Soma, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, where you get to play as Jonathan or Charlotte, and Castlevania Order of Ecclesia, where you are playing as Shinoa and you have to go through and just, it's such a great game. And you also get the brilliant Haunted Castle, the arcade game that Castlevania was originally based on. You get the original release and the revisited release, which is a remaster release. It's incredible. As always, with these fantastic collections, there's tons of gallery things to look at. It's just a beautiful collection of games, and it is so worthwhile. It's only $24.99. Now, there are physical releases for this as well. If you're interested in that, you can go to Limited Run and check that out. But if you just want to have these games immediately to play, or you want to get that physical from Limited Run and keep it sealed on the shelf, $24.99 for the digital release right now. Definitely worth it. Now, those of you that have been on the channel for a long time know I'm a huge fan of both deck building games and roguelike games. One of my favorites is Slay the Spire. I think it's an absolutely brilliant game. We've got another game that's a little bit Slay the Spire later on in this video too. But today I want to talk to you about Balatro, which is a game, shout out to LL Cool Games, Lindsay, for suggesting this one to me because she has impeccable taste in games here. This is a deck building roguelike where you are playing a game based on poker. You're assembling poker hands, but you're also building your deck of cards to draw from. It's a really fascinating title, and it sounds like it's very simple, and it is a very straightforward experience to understand. If you have any knowledge of poker hands, you can pretty much dive in and play it right from jump. You don't have to worry about anything. But once you get into game and you start getting the different Joker cards and the different abilities and the power-ups you can buy after each round, the game's strategy level goes through the roof, and it's an absolutely fascinating title with a metric ton of replay value. And at $14.99, if you love deck builders or roguelikes, or both, like me, this is one you need to have in your collection. I don't usually go in for hyper-violent games, but when I get to play as a cat that's kind of dressed like Marty McFly that has a hoverboard that sprouts, blades out of it where I can slice and dice unicorn puppets, yeah, I'll give it a shot. This is gory, cuddly carnage, and it is exactly that. It is gory, and there is cuddly carnage. It's a really interesting kind of post-apocalyptic world where cats have hoverboards and the toys have taken over. Yeah, that's what happened. It basically, the story is that there was a toy company. They created something called Ultra Pets, and then things went crazy. Things went wrong, and you now have bloodthirsty unicorns trying to kill your little kitty body. It does look a little crispy around the edges, I will be honest with you. The graphics are a little bit rough in areas, I will say that, but the gameplay itself is spectacular. It's a truly fun title, and in most cases, you're not going to notice the things that are crispy. Like, the time that I really notice it is during cutscenes with close-ups of Gory himself, the kitty cat. And it's just, you don't get that too often. When the game is in action, it looks fantastic, and it is a ton of fun. And at $21.99, I think you're going to dig this one. If you're looking for something to blow off a little steam with, Gory Cuddly Carnage is for you. Elsie is not the type of game I usually go for. Watching the videos on it, it looked difficult. And indeed, it is. They advertise the game as a bullet hell ballet. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. It's like those words together, because I'm not big on bullet hells. But when you bring in a game that couples a bullet hell methodology with platforming aspects and just a dash of Mega Man tossed in, I'm pretty much guaranteed to give it a shot, and I'm so glad I did, because this game is legitimately brilliant. It's incredibly difficult, so understand that going into it right now. It is an unbelievably hard game. But as you play and you catch the rhythm of the game and how you're supposed to proceed through and the different moves you're supposed to perform and the unlockables you find as Elsie levels up, you're going to start customizing the game more to your play style to make it more enjoyable. I'm not going to say easier, because it never gets easier, but it does become more enjoyable and at least more akin to the way you would normally play a game like this. This is a $24.99 game. If you're a fan of classic action platforming run and gun games, you need to check this one out. You know, it's not often that a remaster, remake, re-release, something like that comes out where I go, I don't know what that's based on. Like, I usually have a pretty good idea, but this game here, Shadow of the Ninja Remaster, is a remaster, remake, remix of the original Shadow of the Ninja from the NES back in the 1990s. And as someone who lived and breathed the NES at the time, I have never heard of this original game. Now, that could just be me. This could be a game that everyone knows about, and I'm just an idiot, and I've never heard of it. But I had no idea what this was all about. All I knew was it looked like a fun arcade game, like arcade-style title, and I wanted to play that. And what I got is absolutely that, a fun, exciting, difficult arcade-style game where you get to play as one of two ninjas. You go through different levels, platforming levels, you pick up power-ups, you get different abilities, and it's just a blast. It's just a ton of fun. I'm really having a good time with it. This is a $19.99 game, and for someone that loves arcade ports, or at least arcade reimaginings of games, this to me feels like finding a long-lost arcade port that I've never heard of. It's really cool. Straight up, this one will not be for everybody. This is decidedly for people that are fascinated with particular developers that have always wanted to play their library and never had the opportunity to because they were specifically Japanese releases. So yeah, I'm pretty much talking about me here. But if you are a fan of Sunsoft, and if you are, keep listening, because I think you might be interested in this one. This is Sunsoft is Back Retro Game Selection on the Nintendo Switch, giving us 3 games for the price of 1, and that price is very low at $9.99. The games you get Wings of Medulla, which is a scrolling action game. It's very hard. That's going to be a running theme for all 3 of these games. It's very hard, but it's really cool. It's a very clever kind of action RPG where you collect different abilities, different items, and as you go, you're going to fight different enemies that are on the screen. Ripple Island is an early point-and-click adventure. I will be honest, haven't really gotten into this one yet, but the bit I did play was really cool, being able to move around and interact with things and, trying to kick a rabbit. And then, of course, there's Firework Thrower Kantaro's 53 Stations of the Tokaido, which is old-school NES hard. This is a ridiculously difficult game where you are going through and tossing bombs at ninjas as they're trying to attack you. It's a really difficult but really fun title. I really like the selection that's offered here. I really like that this is something that Sunsoft is doing. If this is not something you think you're going to be into or interested in, just move on to the next game. But definitely something that makes a lot of sense for me and something I really enjoyed. And at $9.99, I'm sold. Take 1 part Contra 3, 1 part H.R. Giger concept art for Alien, and 1 part robot body takeover body horror movie, and you get Iron Meat, which is the best Contra game I have played in a very long time, and that includes Operation Galuga, which I really enjoyed. This is such an over-the-top, fantastic run-and-gun game, where everything is big, every explosion is massive, every alien encounter and bad guy encounter that you have is kind of mind-blowing. It is a wonderful, incredible title that I couldn't believe how amazing an experience this was. It's legitimately one of the best run-and-gun shooters I've ever played. It is properly difficult. Like, this is Contra hard, so be prepared for that. But it is wonderful and an absolute blast to play. Now, I will tell you, as of the recording of this video, Iron Meat doesn't release for another couple of weeks. It comes out on September 26th, 2024. But I'm telling you, having played this advanced copy of it, I'm really digging this one. This game's fantastic. $19.99, well worth it. Absolutely spectacular video game. You might be asking yourself, Jay, why do you have Gimmick 2 on here? You and Mr. Gimmick have a contentious relationship at best. And that's true. We don't really care for each other. We don't like each other. I respect what he has. I respect what he's done with his original game. And he respects the fact that I try his game out every once in a while, get frustrated and storm out of the room and vow to never play it again, forgetting that for a year until I come back to it. And then I find Gimmick 2, who is the prettier version of Mr. Gimmick here, and I am just blown away with this game. And if you want to know more about the history of Gimmick, be sure to check out the card on screen right now, as well as linked in the description from my friend Biddy Kong's Quest. He really is the new gaming historian. He did a History of Gimmick video last week, and it is brilliant. And it's wonderful, and there needs to be more eyes on it. But this here is Gimmick 2. This is the sequel to Mr. Gimmick, to the original Gimmick on the Famicom, and it continues that fantastic physics-based platforming action with a little bit of light puzzle solving and adding in just a touch of continuation from the original Gimmick. So this is something that takes place in the same universe. It's decidedly a sequel. It pretty much picks up right where the first one left off, and if you have an affection for the first one, you definitely need to check this one out. It's a wonderful and worthy successor to the original. $24.99. I'm absolutely loving it when I'm not screaming mad at it because I can't make the jump I think I should be able to make. It's always fun to find an unexpected Zelda-like game digitally on the eShop when you're not expecting it to be anything like that. I saw this game here, Crypt Custodian, and initially I was attracted to the key art, which is just adorable. Like a little black cat with a broom, I'm down. That sounds ridiculous enough that I'm going to love it. And then I got into game, and I was met with this really deep and really, really funny, with a tongue firmly planted in its cheek, story about this poor cat that died, and just being the nature of a cat, destroying some things, happens to be labeled a bad kitty and has to clean up after the dead for the rest of eternity. And when you get into actual game, it's a Zelda-like. There's puzzles to solve. The combat is action RPG oriented, just like classic Zelda games. There's tons of stuff to find, unlockables to add to your character, just huge boss fights. It's really kind of amazing. It's a game that I just thoroughly enjoy, and I think is something that a lot of people would really like if they give it a shot. And at $19.99, it's a great deal. You will never convince me that Farland's Journey, this beautiful, beautiful platformer here, isn't like a lost relic of the Sega Saturn. Like, this just stayed in Japan, it never made its way over to the States, and that's unfortunate because this game is absolutely fantastic and weird. Like, this feels a little bit Klonoa, a little bit Popful Mail, if I'm being honest. It's a weird mishmash of games, but it makes this beautiful tapestry of what a platformer can be. One of the things I really dig about this game is that every level you're going to discover different hats and different wands and things like that, and those are going to give you unique spells and effects that you're going to be able to use in-game. And it adds a whole different set of complexity and different things you're going to have to do in each level. Like, for example, in this one, I have the bubble wand, which looks like a soap bubble wand, which is fantastic. I just love that little detail. But with this one, you're actually able to encase the enemies in bubbles, and you can then jump on them to go higher into the level to find hidden passages with hidden gems. I really, really enjoy this game. And like I said, yeah, feels like a throwback relic to the Sega Saturn, and that's never a bad thing. And it's only $9.99. Absolutely worthwhile. Fantastic title here. I wish I didn't have the footage I have right now for Overboss, because I don't think it really captures the experience of the title. Now, for sure, you can play this one-player campaign mode if you really want to, and it is a faithful rendition of the fantastic board game of the same name. But where this game absolutely sings is in multiplayer. You can play up to 5 players at the same time, and it is a tile placement and worker matching game in order to score points. And it is, of course, all about screwing over your opponent in multiplayer games. It is a wonderful, wonderful game. I love digital board games. I really do. And this is one of the best ones that I've played. I'm a big fan of the Boss Monster universe anyway. So being able to get these, like, the sidekick Boss Monster game here in Overboss and being able to play that and seeing it faithfully recreated in a wonderful digital format is right up my alley. This is a $14.99 game. If you're not a board game fan, just ignore this one. There's going to be other games on this list you'll enjoy, but for me, this one is aces. I'm loving it. Sometimes you just need a really simple precision platformer, and I realize the irony of saying a simple precision platformer when this is anything but simple, because, I mean, they're precision platformers for a reason, right? You need to make sure you're hitting the jumps, landing where you need to be, making sure you're attacking when it needs to happen. And that is what we get here with Mangavania 2. This is such a beautiful little game. And I know from a visual perspective, it might be lacking in your eyes a little bit because it is a very stark appearance, just black and white and red. It's very simple to look at, but every bit of power behind this game is in the incredible, excellent, just wonderfully frustrating but fun precision platforming of the title. It's a perfect kind of extension of what Super Meat Boy initially laid out, and we get something really incredible here that I haven't really experienced since that first Super Meat Boy game. Mangavania really, really sticks the landing here. Mangavania 2 is dirt cheap too. It's a $4.99 game. This is a great 5-minute or 2-hour title. You can have a lot of fun with it in a brief amount of time. Definitely worthwhile. Straight up, I am not the target audience for Rugrats Adventures in Gameland. I was not a fan of the cartoon. It was a little bit after my time of like heavily watching cartoons on Nickelodeon. I much preferred Ren and Stimpy and Doug and things like that. Rugrats wasn't my thing. So I didn't really have any expectations for this game. I didn't expect this to be exciting. I didn't expect it to be fun. And instead what I got is like a stupidly brilliant Super Mario Bros. 2 take with 4 different characters with different abilities that all play differently, that are all fantastic renditions of their characters from the animated series. The music is killer. The gameplay is fantastic. Level design is wonderful. Like, it is absurdist ideas that were like just every episode of Rugrats. So it fits in perfectly with the world that the babies would see in the cartoon. It's fantastic. And hey, you know, you can never complain when Reptar makes an appearance, right? It's a really fun title. You can swap between the HD visuals you're seeing here and an 8-bit rendition. I didn't do that when I was playing because I was enjoying the HD visuals so much. I forgot to do it, so apologies there. But it can happen. So if that's something that appeals to you, make it so, sir. $24.99 for Rugrats Adventures in Gameland. I really dig this one. For someone who's not a fan of the animated series, I sure am a fan of this game. The game that really made me stand up and take notice in the most recent Nintendo Indie Direct was Peglin back in August of 2024. I saw this and I saw a game that reminded me immediately of Peggle from the Xbox 360 PopCap days. It was a game I loved and it was super simple. It was basically Plinko from The Price is Right, where you were bouncing a ball around and taking out pegs to, you know, find multipliers in different items and things like that. And it was such a fun experience to see kind of a resuscitation of that idea with Peglin here. Really intrigued me. But I didn't pull the trigger on this game until John Riggs told me about it, and he mentioned that there were RPG elements, and it totally is. It's a mix of classic Peggle and Slay the Spire, so there's a bit of a deck building mechanic here as well, except it's ball building. Read into that what you will, say about it what you will, I don't really care, but as you play the game, you're going to find different power-ups that give you different balls to bounce around on the pegs in the game, giving you different abilities like multi-ball or a super bouncy ball, things like that, that will take out more and more and more pegs, racking up your score and using that ball to attack the enemies at the top of the screen. There's a lot happening here, and as you play, you're going to choose which path to go on to find different treasure items, to fight different monsters, to gain money. It is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm blown away by the quality of this title and how much fun it is. This is going to be on my Game of the Year countdown. I can almost guarantee it. And I'm so excited to be able to say that. Peglin is $19.99. I cannot suggest this one enough. This is probably my favorite game of the month. There you have it, my friends. 15 games you should be checking out on the Nintendo Switch eShop this month. Just some absolutely incredible selections, and I think there's a wide variety of games on here, something for everybody, really. Whether you are a classic retro enthusiast where you can play the Sunsoft is Back collection, or you're just looking for brand new precision platformers like Mangavania 2, there's something here, I think, for everybody. Let me know in the comments down below what game looks most interesting to you. Let me know as well if you're shocked that the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection isn't on here. Don't worry, video for that coming next week. So until next time, folks, I've been Jay. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Be sure to check the links down in the description if you're looking for any of these games. There will be a link to the eShop. Be sure to check the Patreon link now on screen if you're interested in helping the channel out in that way. And remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.